Welcome to the Lechtich Parsha podcast, where we delve into the Torah's timeless wisdom and uncover uplifting and empowering lessons tailored to the challenges of our generation.
A guten Erev Yontif, Shavuos, Zman Matan Tereseinu Tovshin Pei Daled. I hope you're doing well. This week's shir is sponsored by Reb David Tzvi ben Yeshua and Penina Chava Bas Chaim Leib of Lawrence, New York. Le'uli Nishmas Pesach ben Chaim Leib Yehuda Ve'zugoi Sar Bas Moshe. May their Shavuos have an aliyah. Thank you so much for the sponsorship. Thank you to our corporate sponsors, the Hassan Zaltz Law Firm, Bluestone Brokerage, and Meridian Senior Health. For future dedications to sponsor the weekly podcast and publication, please reach out to 845-367-2959. An apology from the beginning, the audio is not as good as usual, as my microphone is not working, so my apologies, but I hope nevertheless the message comes through. There are many divrei Torah that resonate, that are said over, that are inspirational and uplifting for the Yontif of Shavuos, and Baruch Hashem, we did write about those in the publication, but sometimes there's nothing like the power and the potency of a maisa, of tzaddikim. Sometimes it just hits, and it really resonates. And this year, I was at the Hilula of the Rashbi by Rav Moshe Weinberger in Woodmere, and he related an incredible story. And as I was listening to it, I couldn't believe what I was hearing and how he tied it into our current situation, to Shavuos, to Lag BaOmer, to the Torah, to our collective situation, what we're going through with the war, Achinu b'nei Yisrael, what they're going through, it's all one. And while there are many different vertlach and important ones to be said over, I want to utilize this opportunity to share the beautiful story that Rav Moshe Weinberger said over and how it applies to our current situation and Kabbalah Satira. This story is told about Rav Mendel Viznitz. It was common practice for many tzaddikim before they would come out and be the tzaddik, the gadol, the rebbe that they would go into exile. They would go into galus for many years, and it was an uncomfortable thing to do. They would act like strangers, and they would act strange in the literal sense of the word. They would be beggars and go to people's doors and feel the plight of their brothers by really commiserating on a very literal, practical level and living very poor and not having any semblance of normalcy. And this is many times what tzaddikim would do for many years at a time before they would come back and reveal who they were and be a guiding light for the Yidden that awaited them. So Rav Mendel went to a faraway town and no one wanted to take him in. He would go from door to door and ask if the family would be willing to take him in, to feed him, to take care of him, his basic necessities. And it was very, very difficult for him to find anyone that was willing to take him in, especially in the strange way that he was acting, the way that he felt was necessary for his avodas Hashem, for his galus at the time. There was one girl whose name was Rivka, who, although her parents did not agree to take in the Rebbe, nevertheless, every day she would leave a cup of tea on a little toy table outside of her house, unbeknownst to her parents. And every day, Rav Mendel would come to the table, pick up the hot water, and put in the tea, and he would be nourished. And this would go on for days and months, and then it was years and years and years and years. It was time for Rav Mendel to go back to Viznitz, and he knocked on Bracha's door, and he said, Bracha, I just want to let you know, I'm going on, I'm leaving, and I want to thank you, me'umkut libi, from the depth of my heart, for all the good, for your goodskeit they've done for me for all these years. And I'll never forget it. And Rivka looked at Rav Mendel, full of emotion. She realized what a zchus she had. And she said, Rebbe, she said, tell me you're not going to forget me. And the Rebbe looked at her and said, I'll never forget you. I'll never forget this day. I promise. Years passed. Rav Mendel was very established and very, very prominent amongst the Hasidim in Viznitz. And one day, Rav Mendel felt something. He had a feeling that Rivka was on her way to come meet the Rebbe. The Rebbe was right. Rivka was going through a very troublesome time. She became sick. She was completely handicapped. She couldn't walk. And Rivka and her parents literally tried to go to every doctor, every healer in town, but to no avail. And finally, Rivka said to her parents, Mami, Tati, can we please go to Rav Mendel? And they said, Rav Mendel? Who's Rav Mendel? He was the schlepper. He was the strange person that lived around in town over here. 20 years ago. Are you crazy? We're not going to him. He can't do anything for you. Rivka looked at her parents with tears in her eyes and said, Mommy, Tati, we've done everything. Are you really not going to let me go to Rav Mendel, who I believe can really help me? I'm your daughter. You care about me. And this is my last chance. And at the end, reluctantly, they conceded and they made the long voyage to Rav Mendel. On their way, as they were traveling, Rav Mendel felt, through Ruach HaKodesh, whatever it was, he knew they were coming. And he told his Gabbai get strange requests, and this was definitely the strangest request the Gabbai ever got. Rav Mendel told the Gabbai, go bring a toy table and a kettle to the Beis Medrash. Gabbaim are trained never to ask questions and to have unwavering faith and commitment to whatever the Rebbe says. So dutifully, he goes, he gets a toy table and a kettle, and he brings it to the Viznitz Beis Medrash. A few hours later, as he expected, there's a knock on the door. The Gabbai goes, runs, and opens the door, and as Rav Mendel predicted, it was Rivka with her parents. The Gabbaim could not believe what was going on. They couldn't believe that the Rebbe was right somehow, how he sensed that he was getting these visitors. But just when they thought this was strange, as the events unfolded, this is just the beginning. The Rebbe welcomes the parents and Rivka into his office, and obviously Rivka's in a wheelchair, she can't walk, and the Rebbe realizes that there's something very wrong, and obviously they came for his help to see his guidance and counsel. And the Rebbe looks at Rivka and says, what's the matter? And Rivka says, Rebbe, I can't walk. Rebbe, I'm sick. The Rebbe tells his Gabbai, please escort Rivka and her parents to the Beis Medrash, to the table with the kettle and the water and the tea. And the Gabbaim are flummoxed, they're baffled, don't understand what can possibly be going on over here. They've never seen something like this in their lives. But as Gabbaim do, they escort the family into the main Beis Medrash, the Viznitz Beis Medrash, and all the Hasidim were there. Just picture the scene. Nothing like this has ever happened. And they sit down, and the Rebbe sits by the Aron Kodesh, many feet away from where Rivka and her parents are seated in the middle of the Beis Medrash by the table with the tea. And the Rebbe says, Rivka, make me a cup of tea and bring it over to me. And Rivka screams, Rebbe, I can't walk, I can't do it. And the Rebbe says, Rivka, like you've done for me 20 years ago, like you've made me the tea back then, do the same thing for me right now. And Rivka knows she has to do it. And she musters up all the strength possible. And she somehow starts limping and walking, and she finally gets up and makes the tea. And somehow she starts walking over to the Rebbe and brings him the tea. And miraculously, from that time and onward, she merited a refuah shalema. Says Rav Moshe Weinberger, this situation, this relationship, what had happened between the Rebbe and this girl, is exactly the relationship between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Gemara in Shavuos tells us that Hashem went to all the nations of the world and they all rejected HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol, until finally Hashem came to Kal Yisrael, to Knesset Yisrael, and we accepted Hashem, we embraced Him, we brought Him in, we were excited to take His Torah, we said Nasa v'nishma. Although we're a limping nation, we're handicapped, we're disabled, we're going through such trying and difficult times where our hearts are literally bleeding and grieving over the lost lives of Acheinu b'nei Yisrael, where we know this Yontif, while we're rejoicing and we're happy and we should be and we have to be, v'samachta b'chagacha, but at the same very time, we know that this is going to mark the first Yontif for many families where they're going to be reciting Yizkar. We know this is the first Yontif where young Yisayimim are going to be reciting Kaddish. We know the fear and the uncertainty that permeates the minds and hearts of young children, not knowing if their father, if their brother is going to make it in war, or if their husband or children are going to come out alive. We're a limping nation. This is just in Eretz Yisrael, but it's all over the world. We're all going through personal, collective, tsaros, problems, nisyonis, each on our own level, each individualized for us to become better, as we know. But sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we can't see the light. We're all handicapped to an extent. Definitely as a nation, we're very handicapped. We're limping. But the silver lining in this all is that we carry a badge of honor where we accepted Hashem into our lives. We accepted Hashem, His severity, His dominion, His malchus. We accepted Him and His Torah. And because of that, back then Hashem said, Zacharti la'am chesed nerayach, ahavas kol esayach, lech teich acharai b'midbar ba'aretz le'zaruha. Hashem said, I remember the kindness of your youth. They went after me in a land that wasn't sown. You went after me in the midbar. You believed in me. You believed in the Amur Anon and Amur Eish and the Mon, and you believe that I'm going to take care of you. We're accepting the Torah again. We're going to the time of the year again of Nasav and Ishma, which Mitzvah Hashem should evoke those fond memories of Lech Teich Acharei, Bamidbar, of how we never doubted in Hashem, and we were the ones to accept Him. And while we're limping, and while we're in pain, and while the fountain of sorrow doesn't cease to flow, nevertheless, like the Rebbe remembered the kindness of Rivka, Hashem remembers the kindness of what we've done in the past, of our history, of our avos, of our forefathers. And like the Rebbe was able to heal bracha, say, give me another tea. Hashem Kaviyachol say, give me another tea. Give me another Kabbalah Satira. Give me another Avodas Hashem. Give me another Simchas Yantif. Give me another Avodas Hashem. Another night of learning Torah. Another night, another day of dedicating your lives to Avodas Hashem. He knows how much pain we're in. He knows we can't walk. He knows we can't talk. He knows we're the Am Levad Dishkain. He knows that we've been rejected by the entire world, by all the nations. The UN has marked Israel as a nation who kills young, innocent children. This is a living example of Am Levad Dishkain. We've been completely rejected. But the silver lining is, we know we have Hashem, and Hashem knows how much we count and rely and know that we're fully supported by Him. And this is the only way we're going to make it through. And Hashem tell us, Kaviyachol, make me the tea. And when we say we can't get up, we have the resilience to just do it, to just get up and say, Hashem, here's the tea. We're going to get up. We're going to dance. Sisu v'simchu v'simchas ha'Torah. Sisu v'simchu v'chatzeres Yerushalayim. Oideishu v'zikeinu v'zikeinos. B'choyves ha'ir Yerushalayim. We will get there soon with our work and our avodah to be misamech in the Yantif, to be misamech in the Torah. May Hashem return us v'sachazane einenu v'shuvcha l'tzim b'rachamim to where we belong, to Eretz HaKodesh, with the rebuilding of Bayis Shlishi, v'mher v'amenu. Amen. I thank each and every one of you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. I wish you all a wonderful Chakosha v'samech, a beautiful Yantif.
I thank each and every one of you for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and I wish you a wonderful Shabbos.